I have something in my ass. Hold
Righty, with any luck, that stream is rolling. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Phoenix SimSpot, and more importantly, welcome to the track of Suzuka, whereby we are here collecting for the Tier 2 race, the F1 World Championship. And I feel like before I start yapping, I should make sure the stream works. This is a common trait of mine. And for those who don't know me, my name's Hunter Clark. I am with a co-commentator, Mix. I'm not sure if he's actually here right this second. And I'm going to take silence as a no. But let's check.
on.
Oh, you are here. Okay.
Huh? Yeah.
Right. Let's see. Let's check this stream because for those who do know me, a few of you I know. Oh, we've got a one-shot quality. So, anywho, yeah. So for those who do know me, I have technical issues sometimes, but I think I've got that
Do you
underway.
have sound in the game?
I should do. If you have that issue, just pause and unpause. That usually fixes it.
Oh yeah.
In terms of one-shot quality, I've never commentated one-shot quality, and I don't really think there's too much to say, considering these drivers are going to be swapping around every single second.
I think Fat Cat's gonna get pole, so follow Fat Cat.
Oh yes, yeah. Let's go on board with the guy in 16th. All right, let's get telemetry on details. He's Australian, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, yo, wait, what? Wait, this guy was 16th, now he's in first. That's crazy. These
Yeah, I
guys
think
must
you just
be
had a glitch.
competitive, or do you know what the gaps are like? I'm not
Hold on.
too
Hold on.
sure of these
I'm trying
drivers.
to. I'm hearing you double. Hold on.
Ah, that's not always the greatest.
Okay. I fixed it.
So I actually know many of these drivers. Fat Cat, Batman, Martin, Huge Ass, that's a strange name. Balash, Maralfo, Myths, Test
Oh
Wheel,
yeah.
and Bust. Those are all the guys that I know.
Those are basically the guys I know as well.
Okay, so the other guys are mystery drivers. So we'll
Yep.
see what they can do today. Ghost Rider's joined. Not sure who he
Fat
is. I
Cat pole?
assume another
Question
thing.
mark?
Ah, the prediction. Has he done it? Oh, what
No,
a prediction,
but
mate.
that's that's the fast time for Fat Cat.
26.7. So okay, this is decent pace for most of the drivers. 27s are where I expected a majority of the times to be. But it is a sprint race, so anything can really happen here. So this then, Fat Cat Batman, that's a mouthful, who takes pole here in Japan with a 126.798, and the rest of the field very, very close together. You can see P2 to P7 within 2-3 tenths of each other, and the gap is just crazy between these guys. Balash and P2. I don't know how to pronounce this guy. Do you know how to pronounce P3?
I'm not even in the game. Hold on.
Oh, I
Martijn, I think.
Martijn. Is he Dutch?
I
That looks
think.
Dutch. Okay, well,
Goat, I am here. I'm just quiet.
I will definitely. If yeah, let me know about audio levels actually, because I can change this. I can turn him up if he's a bit quiet. Let's try that. Okay, so that should be a bit better. But then it is a sprint race, which means we're going to see drivers really pushing it for these 6 laps, I believe, to try and get the best
9. I
position.
think it's
It's
9.
9. Okay, don't know why I
Yeah.
said 6. That wouldn't even make sense for a sprint race. 9 makes more sense. But then
Okay,
also they've got the
I'm gonna make another huge prediction.
yeah.
Fat Cat in the wall by lap 6.
Okay. I wouldn't be surprised. I've seen a bit of Fat Cats racing, and yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. So confirm that streams are working then. I suppose I haven't actually checked it myself, but
Yeah, it's working.
good. That's a first for me. My streams tend to bug a little bit. They've actually been all right recently, but like, yeah, honestly, I've always got issues. But we're just in this awkward stage of waiting for players where you just stare at this screen. I feel like F1 could do something with this.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like that Marshall right there is handsome as. Yeah, he's very handsome, Marshall.
Yeah, like honestly, I'd lips him all day, every day. That
Yeah,
that's my man
yeah,
right there.
yeah.
Got that Williams guy in the back as well. He appears to be doing something, but he's on loop, so he's probably not doing anything productive. What is he? You just see there
Standing
behind the
around.
marshal. What? He's wiping something. God knows. But these guys. There's a 60-second thing for Phoenix, isn't there? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes it even worse for the commentators as they sit
I
here and
won't
wait.
swear on stream, or I'll try not to.
Yeah. It's easily avoidable unless Zaha sticks it in a
Sure.
wall. Maybe. Let me know if mix is good on volume as well. Right, well, we are underway. We didn't even get a countdown on the lights, and it's looking like a mediocre start for Fat Cat as Balash gets alongside him into turn 1 we go then. And the Ferrari is ahead, coming out the apex of turn 2. As we go down the grid, we've got some guys wheel to wheel through the first sector. The S's I meant to say. It gets really, really tricky through here, and it's hard to stick it too wide. You can see a McLaren all the way on the grass there already, and a bit of a spin. And that's Wobby McQueen. No, it's not. It's Arrow. Arrow's facing the wrong way around, and I need to get the track map on. I need to get organised. But an Alpine running off wide as well, and it's just all messy on lap 1, especially around this track. It's very, very technical, and you've got to find the right places to go for the moves. You've got to just wait, really, for the straights. And, oh, what a move from the Red Bull. Jars trying to go up the inside of Adrian, and he thinks, yeah, he makes it stick. Really good move from him. The Alpine of Pinnock's losing a few positions there on the apex of that corner. And that's not looking good for him as the Mercedes getting past the McLaren who's disconnected. I can't give out invites, so I hope they can make their own way back into the lobby. But yeah, okay, that was eventful lap 1, and Fat Cat losing out the lead there with Balash taking over in that Ferrari. And let's look at the tyres, because have anyone opted for the mediums? Only the guy in 17th. Make sure I've got the telemetry on. And, oh, a bit of a mistake for the Mercedes there at the exit of the final corner. And it allows Martin... God, nah, I've watched that already.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Then it's just nice and neat then from these drivers so far. Keeping it single file and not as much carnage as I would have expected on lap 1 of Suzuka. So, very good standards here. Is that a wing gone for the Aston Martin? No, it's looking alright for the Aston Martin. But, so we've got, how many? We've got 4 more laps before your prediction of Fat Cat Batman needs to come alive. He's already lost 2
and
positions.
he might take the Alpine with him. We don't know.
Yep. He probably could. Let's let him do his magic. As we go, I'm expecting it maybe. Where do you think it's going to happen?
Probably the final chicane.
Oh, you think he's just going to like outbrake himself and punt it?
Yeah, or turn 1.
Well, let's see. Then on board with Fat Cat Batman. I think there's got to be a shortened way to say this. Fat Cat or just Batman, and is that a track limit for him as he runs a little bit wide?
Do Fat Cat.
Fat Cat, yeah, okay. If I call him Batman, it just feels like we got some kind of weird law going on. But anywho, it's just nice and neat from these guys. Not too much to say at the minute, but there is actually a bit of a battle between Testwheel and Adrian as the Haas sticks it around the outside into the chicane on the Williams wheel to wheel. A tiny bump there, but nothing too bad as the Alpine manages to try and stick it around the Williams as Adrian gets a poor exit out the final corner and down the main straight. Will we see any moves into turn 1? You get a nice bit of slip here. It's quite easy to just stay ahead as long as you cover off that inside, and you don't really want to make moves into turn 1. It gets ugly quite quickly, and any curb usage, and you're just kind of dead into the wall. Recently had a race actually about an hour ago on this very track, and so I've seen it all. I've seen cars in the wall. Oh wow! What? Okay, fat man. Oh, what am I doing, bruh? Fat cat.
Does he have damage?
I believe he's been disconnected because his car is invisible.
Yeah.
That's unlucky. It's close to VSC though. No, that's not great from Fat Cat. And really, I should have had everyone added before the start of this race. So,
no, I've sent him an invite.
Nice. That's good then. So maybe maybe he was going to crash, and EA have just kind of saved him by kicking him out the race. But he is now back in, so he's going to take control of his car just before the end of the VSC, and he'll be all on the back of the Red Bull anytime now, I hope. Fat man Batcat. Okay. Consens. I don't like you, man. Don't bully me. It's a mouthful. It's a mouthful. I'll just call him 465 from now on. Honestly. Alright, so VSC, we're lap 4 out of 9. Balazs maintaining his lead after taking it on the very first lap, and he's just stayed in front then for the duration of this sprint race. And if we look at positional gains then, because that's what we're really interested in here.
I think Fat Cat is back.
He is indeed. He's back in his car. It's no longer invisible. And he's got a lot of battery. Oh, all the drivers do because of the VSC, of course. Let's grab the positional changes on these drivers. Okay, so we can see the Mercedes of Fat Cat losing out 5 places, but the majority of those were to a disconnect. So through no fault of his own, apart from the first 2 laps whereby he lost out to Balazs and... Oh, you're going to have to remind me. How do you pronounce this Alpine? March?
I do not dare to say that on stream. Again.
I feel like we could just say Martin, but then I might be insulting him at that point.
Yeah, I know that's wrong, but I don't know what's right. So let's stick with the Alpine.
Yeah, we'll just call him the Alpine for now. The other Alpine all the way down in P10, so he's not worthy of a mention for now.
Yeah.
He does have Mr. Bust all on the back of him. Mr. Bust, a fiend friend of mine, and I know what he's made of, so I'm sure he's going to try and get past this Alpine as soon as possible. He's right on the back of the rear wing of Pinu, I believe is pronounced, and round the outside of the chicane and just cleanly done. And he gets ahead, but the Alpine runs a bit on the curb on the exit, and that's going to give the chance to Matt Pryor to go round the outside and gets the move done. That was really, really nice from the Haas there, just getting ahead based on the mistake. And Mr. Bust finds himself 6 places up from where he started, all the way up into P10. I need to get intervals back on because I can't see what's going on the grid as an Alfa Romeo gets past the Aston Martin of Moralfo. And another driver who I know is full of a load of skill, Moralfo, a very, very good driver. From what I've seen of him, anyway. Not seen a lot of Phoenix drivers, per se. It's been a very, very long time since I've been here. Probably even like half a year, to be fair. It's been a very long time. But a lot of the drivers are still knocking around and doing a good job on the track so far. Arrow picking up the fastest lap of 1:28.846. And we've only got 1 more lap before Fat Cat needs to crash out. Well, he doesn't need to crash out, but to fulfill your prediction anyway.
No, he definitely does.
Yeah, maybe we should just spend the whole race flaming every single driver. Or maybe just Fat Cat. Maybe just...
yeah, I think we should stick to Fat Cat.
Just bully Fat Cat. But obviously...
And he's probably going to go for a move here into the final chicane.
I think he will. Oh.
Yep.
That was brave.
That's a dive and a half.
You know him. Holy.
Oh, and they had contact as well, it seems.
Made it stick, though.
Yeah.
And, well, it was a questionable move, but relatively clean from the two. And the Alpine gets past the Ferrari. Gosh, that was... Yeah, when you said he was going to make a move, I was like, yeah, he might. But like 90% in my head, I was like, nah, he won't. He just won't, right? And he just sends it down. Like, what? It's crazy. So the Alpine does get ahead of Balazs. And I'm going to ask the driver's name after this race, because if I do end up commentating in the future, it would be nice to know how to pronounce the majority of these guys' names. Like P3, Kaka. Could just call him Kaka for now. Myth's picking up the fastest lap, 28.4, and I don't think anyone's going to go quicker than that, given the fact that all the drivers are now deploying all their battery. Deg's going to pick up, and there's not really much of a chance to go any faster, really, throughout the rest of this session. But Balazs then is going to be all on the back of this Alpine. He wants to try and take back P1 as a bit of an incident happens at the back of the grid between a McLaren and a Mercedes. Temporary yellow flag, but nothing major. Balazs then, he wants to get this pole. So he started P2, I believe. We get up positional change. Yes, he did. He started P2. He got that move done on Fat Cat into turn 1. He led the first 4 laps of the race. Alpine took the lead, and now he wants to try and get it back. He wants to start on pole. But from what I've seen of Japan races anyway, starting on pole isn't always the best. Someone sends up your inside into turn 1 and you lose out, as we saw at the start of this sprint race. You see some moves going on. The Haas fighting with the Red Bull, almost colliding there. The front wheel getting ever so close to the rear wheel of the two
Is
cars.
Kakarin disconnected?
Has he? Ah, he has. The Alfa Romeo in P6 ghosted right now.
I don't have him added, so I can't send an invite. So
House.
he might just be gone for the rest of the sprint.
Yep, that's going to be unfortunate. He might stay within the top 10, to be fair. I don't know what are the gaps here. It's looking healthy. I don't know how slow these AI really are. We will find out anytime soon. It's an Alfa Romeo. Causes a yellow at the back. Now, Also Rico, Fat Cat, my boy needs a no DNF race. See, I'm not too sure of Fat Cat, but is it really that bad? That's crazy. It's absolutely outrageous if he needs a no DNF race. How many races has he DNF'd? Anywho, right, a move from the Haas, making it up into P10, and these positions are incredibly important. There's no way he goes for a dive. Nope, the Williams placing his car very nicely into the final two turns of this circuit, and Test Will getting past Kaka, but really that's just the Ghost playing into effect, and the Red Bull's going to get past him any time soon. And into turn 1 then, Haas ahead of the Williams. He couldn't get it into the chicane, but he's got it into turn 1. And he is now up into P9. So a very good race then from him, and a bit of a battle between the McLaren and the Alpine as Wobby McQueen gets past Pinu. I feel like it's Pinugs. Pinu. Yeah, it feels like it should be pronounced Pinu. But yeah, lots of battling going on at the minute then. Obviously, the positions that you start this race from are extremely important, given how heavy that tyre deg is. It gets really hard towards the end of the race around this circuit, and fuel another major issue. But you might want to fuel under if you think there's going to be a few safety cars, but if you fuel under and there's no safety cars, you are screwed, because consumption is crazy around Japan, and around goes Wobby McQueen. Wobby's car feeling a bit wobbly as he finds himself onto the grass, but he gets back onto the track without an issue. No damage for him. And he manages to stay well clear of the AlphaTauri, who's a major 7 seconds behind. Myths down in 16th. I'm not sure how that's happened. Did he start down there? No, he's lost 4 positions. Myths, I know, is another decent driver, so not sure how he's wound up all the way at the back of the grid. But eyes to the front once again then, as we're going to see some moves. It's the last lap of this race. Will Balash go for it? He tries to go down the inside, but the Alpine just covers it off. And was that a bit of a late move from the guy's name starting with an M? That was kind of cheeky. But Fat Cat managing to stay on the track, so let's go for him. He's doing all right so far. P4, it's not horrendous, considering he lost a few places at the start. He got disconnected, and he's managed to find his way back up into P4. Very decent sprint from him so far. But Badash, he's hungry. You know, he led so many laps. He can't lose out now to the end of this race. He's going to have to tow down that main straight, and it could make all the difference. The tow is absolutely huge, and especially with the setup. Some drivers will be running higher wings, some will be running lower. I won't be surprised if the majority, though, are higher, just to compensate for the amount of tyre deg there is. That's certainly what most of my drivers did in other leagues, running higher wings, just trying to keep the deg as low as possible and do a soft to hard strategy. But we saw some mediums to hards, we saw some guys start on hard. So what will we see here from this race? As we come through the final chicane, there's no moves to be made. These guys just single fire. Fat Cat really getting close.
Matt Pryor going for a move in the final chicane now.
Will he go for it? Down the inside, it's going to be outrageous. Oh, but he sends it. And there's contact around goes the Haas. That's not great for you. Ay, Matt, no, what was that? Bit of a ambitious move, to say the least, going for a dive that late into the chicane. But he still finds himself P10, which I believe is better than where he started. It is. So he started 13th. He's made his way up 3 places, but missed the bust. MVP of the sprint race, making up 7 places from 16th all the way up into 9th, and will be starting the race provisionally in the points. So he should be very happy with himself. And your other Haas driver, Test Will, goes from 10th to 6th, so that's very decent.
Festival was cooking.
Cook session from that Haas driver there.
Yeah.
But okay, so I've got a little taste of what these drivers are made of. Obviously, I know a few of them. It's good to know Fat Cat is as unreliable as rumored. Why? Yeah. Also, not sure. That was very, very interesting move. I'm not sure what he thought the result of that dive was going to be, but yeah. But then, if I'm correct, and the point system is just the same as IRL, that means the Alpine's going to pick up 8 extra points. Balash with 7, Moralfo 6, and fairly obvious just to state the rest as opposed to just running through them all. But this obviously also determines the starting positions for the race, and it means that Alpine is going to be under pressure from Balash. We saw at the start of the sprint race, he had a mighty start, and so if he has that again, will we see a Ferrari into the lead and leading the first few laps once again of this race? I'm just going to make sure I get all this info, just in case anyone needs it. Make sure I got that on the stream. Very nice. Very interesting to see the strategies from these drivers then. I'm going to assume most of them do soft to hard. That is the optimal strategy around here, but medium hard is also an option. And once again, these bloody stewards and mechanics and the Williams guy still working on the same task that he was working on at the start of the sprint. They must really be doing either a very poor job or it's a very extensive task. Waiting for plays. And so 60-second rule, you've got the guys wanting to do their strategies and the fuel. I want to know if any guys are going to be silly enough to run out of fuel and not
Probably Fat
beat
Cat.
this race. Fat Cat. Yeah, we just blaming this guy all race.
Yeah, I did a practice race with him, and he spun every lap. So
Well, that must have been painful. Do you have to wait
wasn't
up for
much
him every
practice,
time?
I
Or
must say.
were you doing like wheel-to-wheel practice, or was it just like a general...
No, just a race practice.
Alright.
He's not cooking. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on stream, but
Yeah,
anyway.
you can say that. We encourage Fat Cat Batman slander. Maybe not, maybe not. Fat Cat, you know, you're doing a good job, man. Kinda.
Yeah, we love you.
We love you. Anyway, Jesus, this feels like a long time. 60 seconds. Feels longer than it actually is. Well, that doesn't really make any sense. I'm
Yeah.
kind of just yapping to be honest. Yeah, I feel like F1. There's a lot of improvements. Looking forward to F124. I really hope there's a lot more, to say the least. They don't spend, you know, like half of their budget and time working on Breaking Point, for example. But then we do line up on the grid. So 3, 4, 5 red lights. We do get a countdown this time. And away we go. Will we see another good start from the Ferrari? A bit of wheel spin on the start there as we see some cars shuffling around. Into turn 1 we go. And the Alpine is just going to maintain P1. Balash looking for a sneak up the inside and make some contact. And just about keeps his car facing forward. But there's going to be lots of contact and he's going to lose out massively to that. As the Alpine didn't do too much wrong there. Balash being a bit ambitious into turn 1. Adrian touching the grass there and it's really slowing down the drivers behind him. We can see 2 wide. Balash making a place back up and he's going to have to really go really hard on this recovery race here. And the Mercedes looked like he was going to go for a dive there. Didn't end up doing so. Any guys who go too wide through there end up, one of them, in the gravel. I found that out the hard way. And are we going to see 3 wide into the hairpin? No, we're not. The Alfa Romeo leads. But the Williams has that inside line. Balash wants to try and find a way through as we come up to this right-hander. And now it gets tricky because you can try and stick it too wide, but it's a very fast set of corners. And it's very easy to get oversteer, understeer even, sorry, and just run completely wide off the track. And if you touch the curbs, you're also dead. So let's see what he does. He manages to stick nice and close to the Williams at the back of the grid. We can see Moralfo getting past an AlphaTauri. yeah, they've managed to really get the gaps up quite fast. Japan, one mistake and you see the guys behind you make mistakes, and all of a sudden there's a huge gap between P1 and the rest of the grid. But right now, it's just a battle for the race lead as Fat Cat trying to show us what he's made of after all the slander he's received so far this weekend. He goes up the inside of the Alpine, wheel to wheel, almost making contact. He's still there through the right-hander, and it's absolutely incredible racing from these two so far. No contact apart from the minor scrapes, but Fat Cat is obviously on the softer compound and is just going to be a lot quicker, theoretically, than this Alpine. But one mistake and he's in the bin. And is he going to send out the inside? You can't go too wide here, boys. And no, he's going to have to just concede the position to the Alpine and wait for a more suitable time to make that overtake stick. Let's get telemetry on. Let's get tyres on. So we see one person has opted for the hard compound tyre, and it's a huge split, half and half. Oh, what was that?
Just a classic Fat Cat move, really.
Yeah. What? That was crazy. Wide cat. Yeah, that was crazy. The Alpine been chefed up by the Mercedes there, but 4/10 is the gap, and Fat might just leave now on the soft compound tyre. Miss making his way past the Mercedes, or actually was there just contact, because the Mercedes dropping down the order a lot now, and my controller has disconnected, which isn't great. Let's get that plugged back in so I can actually look around the drivers. There we are. That's a bit better. Now, fastest lap goes to Fat Cat. That's just going to keep changing between drivers as we come across the line, so I'm not even going to try and keep up with that. But to turn one we go then. The Alfa Romeo sitting behind the Ferrari. No move's going to be made there. Test wheel was on the back of the Aston, but on the exit, losing a bit of time. We've got really close battle between Nazar and Matt here on the exit of turn 2. He's all up the back of the Haas and through this S section. You can get really close, but the thing is, if that driver in front of you just makes a tiny mistake, you're also in the bin. It's very hard to avoid a collision through that sector. But if we come up to this right-hander, then I don't think we're going to see any moves, and just drivers trying to get as close as possible. Huge ass. Is he going to go down the inside of the hairpin? He switches to the outside line, and if he stuck it up the top there, he could have probably made the move stick, but he just ran into the back of the Alpine a little bit, bump drafting out the exit of that turn. As we come through these left-handers, how close can he stay? He brakes very early just to make sure there's no contact between them. It's very easy to just get damage and ruin your race on a high downforce track like Suzuka. But Fat Cat then, he's under pressure from the Alpine under pressure from the Red Bull. And will we see a dive into this chicane? Will the Alpine give the Mercedes a bit of his own medicine? No, he's just going to hang back and wait for the appropriate time to make that move. Obviously, softs v mediums, it's a very controversial topic to say the least. It's difficult to choose what is the better tyre for this race, but in my opinion, the mediums are just one to stay off of around this track. It's a very poor tyre, and I think the soft guys are going to end up on top with the strategy, and any safety cars play into their hands also. So let's see what happens then. We're 4 laps in, so we've got 23 to go, and one spin, one wall kiss can just change the race completely. Cycle down the grid, see if anything's going off. We've got a disconnect from the Alfa Romeo of Kaka. That happened in the sprint, so it's unfortunate to happen again to him. As long as there's no retiring on track, then we're all going to be handy-pandy. But it's just these top 3 then. Top 4 now, as we see Mr. Bus trying to get involved. He goes around the outside, but now he's got the pressure of Test Wheel on his inside. But on the exit, he's got that ideal line, and he just gaps him, even though he's on the slower compound of tyre. Test Wheel going to want to give a little back to the Aston Martin on those softs. He's got a lot more battery. Can he make a move down into 130R? But he's actually quite far back on the exit there. Mr. Bus getting ever so close to the Red Bull on the exit of that corner, and that's not one I expect drivers to be very close in. And are we going to see Jas go for a move up the inside of the Alpine? He sticks it too wide, switches to the inside line, and completely takes out Fat Cat on the exit of the chicane. The Alpine picks up a 3-second time penalty for avoiding action and going off the track. Wheel to wheel now.
What happened to Fat Cat?
He got absolutely taken out by the Red Bull of Hugh Jas as he outbroke himself, going for a dive. on the Alpine, so I think that's going to be a heavy penalty for him at the end of this race. That's unfortunate, but Fat Cat, he's pitting. He's not retiring. He's got a strong mental. Maybe a safety car can bring him back into this race. But that gives Mr. Bust a provisional podium position then, and everyone gaining 1 place off of that contact. Bit of a snap from Balash there, but he does well to keep it on the track. Oh, bloody hell, I give up with this. Fat. Yeah, he's out. Don't need to talk about him anymore. He's retired from the session, so lucky me. Anywho. Fat Cat. Yeah, it's very easy. I don't know where my difficulties are coming from.
Are you sure he's just not disconnected again?
I believe it said retired.
If he retired on track, that's the penalty.
I believe it said retired. I could have been mistaken. I'm fairly certain I saw retired from session and then left session. If anyone knows in chat, let me know. But anywho, huge arse then leading the way, 3/10 up on the Alpine, but probably likely to receive a penalty at the end of this race for absolutely taking out the Mercedes driver, and the Alpine right on the back. No, Fat Cat did not retire. He's back in the session. And just giving a bit of a bump to this Red Bull driver. He's feeling a bit of what he gave out earlier. You know, if you're going to give it out, take a bit as well. As the Alpine just pushing him out the exit. And now he's going to be all on the back of him into turn 1. He takes the inside line. He's going to pick up a few marbles. No, he's not even picking up marbles. Lucky him. Into turn 1 we go. The Aston Martin tries to sneak a look, but he's got nothing to come out of it. He's got that Haas on his inside and 2 wide all up the grid. As we see NASA gets past the Haas driver, or does he? Matt Pryor just sticking it, giving the AlphaTauri barely any space to use. I think that was enough width to race with, but it was just the perfect amount. And we've seen Test Wheel fall down the order. A bit of a battle between Mr. Bust, and that's caused him to fall all the way down to P12. That's not ideal. Let's grab up positional changes then. It's always good to track these, as we can see Myths on an absolute stormer. He's made up 10 positions. He's now well into the points. And the Alpine picked up a 3-second penalty, which I failed to mention. And that one won't be removed. I think that was just plain old track limits. But obviously the one from the chicane, it will be removed. I think he just took avoiding action on what happened ahead with Fat Cat. As Mercedes gets past the Alpine, Twinsicle, what a move from him. He sticks it up the inside. That's a very rare occurrence to see a car go for a move there. But I appreciate it very, very much. I know I am, man. I really know. But you throw me off my focus now. I'm going to be blushing for the rest of the commentary. But Adrian then. Adrian the 8th. It's a cool way to put your name. I hope he's not actually called like Adrian the 8th. I don't think that's still in fashion, you know, to name your children after yourself. But the Red Bull getting past the Alpine, back on the straight as they invert positions, but Huge Ass makes a mistake on the exit of 2, and that gives the chance for the guy starting with them once again to get past and gain a significant lead. But right after the Red Bull makes a mistake, the Alpine does, and now they wind up wheel to wheel once again. Yeah, Darkness. Honestly, get this guy banned. Get this guy banned. But the Red Bull then stays behind the Alpine. Bit of a mistake there. They're playing a bit of a copycat game. One makes a mistake and the other one just copies. But Mr. Bust also in this fight. He's 1 second within, so he's going to have that DRS, but his battery is not looking healthy. Neither is the Red Bull's. Is anyone's battery looking healthy? Balash on 60%, managing well in P5, but he's going to have to stop very soon. Obviously, he's on that soft tyre compound, and it's very high degradation. I think optimal pit stop, if I recall, is 10 or 11 around here. And the undercut is very powerful from what I've learned in personal experience. Or maybe just the guys that I'm racing and engineering are very poor standards. And so undercut is powerful at face value. But the gaps, they're just alright at the minute. Nothing really going on. And as I say that, the Mercedes gets past the Alpine and going into the chicane. It's wheel to wheel the Haas, trying to make up some more positions. The Alpine goes deep, cuts across the track, tries to keep it facing forward and gives the tap to the Alpine on the exit. I don't think that was very clean from the Alpine there. Obviously making a mistake and trying their best to stay on the track, but on the exit probably could have done a better effort in not making contact with that Haas driver. As we see the Alfa Romeo gets ahead of the Ferrari car into turn 1, the same powertrain, but one driver clearly just getting the edge over the other. And back up to the top of the grid then. The main battle at the moment is the Alpine and the Red Bull. The Red Bull, to my knowledge, will get a penalty, but so does the Alpine already have one. So these guys battling out actually for the lead of the race as Tesla retires. No, what's happened to that Haas driver? That's caused the safety car. And I did not catch what happened. How has that happened? Gosh. Where even is that on the track? That's a very odd place to put it into the wall.
No, he just did a sergeant. It's fine.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's not fine. Not for the Haas team. Now they've got one car left in the race, up in P7, but that's still points. Let's see what Matt Pryor can do. Like, this is the stage of the race where drivers should join the combox and just give like a live commentary of how their race is going. That'd be phenomenal.
And Fat Cat in the pits again.
Yeah, so he's going to go for a new fresh set of tyres. Obviously, safety car is what he was praying for, so he's going to be back in this race. Oh, is he ghosted? No, okay, I thought he disconnected then. But Fat Cat now has a chance to kill more drivers as we bunch up again. And Martin, I've said it wrong, don't care at this point. Martin, you've got a 5-second penalty. You deserve to be called, Martin. Unbelievable. You've got to slow down into the pits, mate. You could hurt someone if you go too quick there. You've got mechanics running all around the place. Just be careful. As any double stack's going to cause any time loss here as the drivers all pile into the pits and presumably to put on the medium tyre, though some will opt for the hard. Let's get tyres on. Okay, so a lot of hards then. Maybe I'm just... Martin tells me to say Martin, but I try to pronounce his name each time. Like, I want to say it's... God knows. Martin? It's Dutch, so I gotta think like, how would Max Verstappen say it? Martin. Nah, I'm boiling that. I'm not even gonna try that. Anyway, so, the Alpine of Martin, we'll go for, is on soft tyres, and they won't last to the end of the race, so that will go for about 10-11 laps, and he's gonna have to stop again, so he's going for a soft strategy. And I guess he's just hoping for another safety car, or he's really confident in the pace that he's got, that he can get past these three guys ahead of him, gap the field, and gain enough time to do another pit stop. Martijn. Yo, of course it's Martijn. Alzo Rico coming in clutch. Martijn, that makes so much more sense. Bash, look at me go. Right, I need to be here more often. Look at this. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. My dad's proud of me. Anywho. So, who hasn't stopped then? We got P1 and P2, Matt Pryor on the 8-lap old mediums. We've got more names. Pinu. We're going to go for Pinu for now. I'm going to assume he's French. 8-lap old hards. So he's going to have to... He won't have to stop, actually. He could drag those out to the end unless he started on the hard compound tyre, which I'm going to assume he did. He did. Okay, so he will have to stop again. And Kakarinas, who is out of this race. Is he going to get an invite back from anyone in the session? He's gone into the pits. That's his AI choosing to stop. So hopefully he gets a chance to get back in this race. Will Martin get to service penalty? I don't think so, because I think he's got 6 seconds. How's he got 11 seconds? I don't recall that happening. What? 11 seconds of penalty for the Alpine then. I know at least 3 of that was for taking avoiding action, and I'm not sure if that was a 3 or a 5. But either way, that leaves Martijn with 6 seconds of track limit penalties at the least. So he needs to focus on keeping it on the tarmac for the rest of this Grand Prix and trying to claw back as many points as he can. Track limits *2 and speeding. Of course, he got the 5 seconds for speeding, and 6 seconds of track limits adds up. So that will be 3 seconds removed if what I saw was correct. And that leaves him with 8 seconds of penalty then. And it's doable. Yeah, I'm not sure how you get that many track limits. Also, I've barely seen drivers picking up track limits. I've barely even seen 3-second penalties from this track. It's if you go off the track, you're essentially dead. So I'm not sure where the limits have been pushed. But he's managed to do it. So he's innovative in that way. He's Maybe he's going for a record. He's got something in him, that's for sure. But it is Matt Pryor then who's going to do this safety car restart. I believe it's going to be in this lap as Fat Cat catches up to the rest of the grid. And if it's not, will any of the drivers at the bottom opt for pitting once more to get the freshest of fresh tyres for the rest of the race? Because obviously that's a huge advantage, having the fresher tyres on a track like this where deg is so high. But it's nice being here, you know, it's nice being at Phoenix. We've got a nice interactive chat. And safety car is in this lap. We see Mr. Bus really weaving his tyres there. Everyone else thinks they're Kimi Raikkonen as we come down to the chicane. How many drivers have warm tyres? We know Mr. Bus does, but are they a bit overcooked? Are they a bit worn? He was using the whole width of the track, picking up a few marbles there. And when will the Haas go? Here, we're coming out the exit of the chicane. He's still not gone. Is he going to just choose to go where the traction gets a bit slippy? No, he's still not gone. And he just waits just before the DRS to go. And has he caught anyone sleeping now? Pinu going to go up the inside of Martijn into turn 1. And the Red Bull's trying to get involved here. It's the Red Bull v the Alpine and very tight, glued together. Off goes the Alpine. Through goes the rest of the cars. And he's going to have to try and find his way back onto the track nice and cleanly. 3-second penalty for our Peterer. Not sure who even... AlphaTauri all the way at 16th. So not too insightful, but the Aston Martin, really good cam here for us as he goes wheel to wheel the Alpine and gets ahead of Pinu. Ghost Rider trying to get past the Williams and actually is going to do so. What's happened there? Really huge loss of speed. We can see Twinsigle going all the way across the grass, thinking he's Valtteri Bottas in Austria, mowing that lawn, and these drivers just pushing each other off the limits, really. I'm not really sure how they found themselves 3 wide on the exit of that turn, but they've managed to do it. And surprisingly, no one's ended up in a wall. No one's ended up really far back. They've actually kept within some sort of a pack. So that's interesting. As the Ferrari of Ghost Rider just staying ahead of that Alpine, showing no gap for the Alpine. And a huge fight at the front of the grid then. We've got Tixnix. That's a strange name. Mr. Bust and Huge Ass. Is he going to go for a move into this? He's done it before. Will he do it again? This time he opts for the outside line. We've got an onboard view from Mr. Bust as the Red Bull goes around the outside. The Haas taking too much curb. He's had to take avoiding action. And Mr. Bust not picking up a penalty for that, surprisingly. And maybe not even an illegal overtake as he gets the move done off the driver. And Kaka is into the wall again. That's another safety car. What's happened at the back of the grid? We see a Mercedes off, a McLaren off, another McLaren. And Kaka broken down. No, that's Fat Cat. Oh, Fat, you're out. It's happened. It was inevitable. It's written in the books.
It was.
It's the drivers here trying to get around the safety car. He's trying to park it on the apex. What on earth is that Aston Martin car doing? But yeah, okay. Well, we knew that was coming. To make it a bit confusing, Ghosty is a Williams driver, but accidentally took the Ferrari seat. Okay, so we have 2 Ferraris on the grid then. God damn, I think he should be heavily penalised for that. I think that's a season ban right there. And his license should be revoked. But yeah, Rico, you've put a curse on Fat Cat Batman. Fat Cat, if you would. And it's paid off, apparently, because he's found himself into a wall. And safety cars come out. Lots of penalties dished out at the back of the grid. Martijn was obviously going to get a really good launch on this safety car. He was well ahead of the rest of the drivers. And maybe even was going to be able to, you know, escape that 8-second window he needed to just stay in the points at least. But now, the gap's going to be all the way back down. Will we see anyone go for a pit? Do they want fresh tyres? You can just stick it on mediums to the end of the race now. But this is the stage where you have to choose mediums over hards if you choose to pit again. The hards, they really come to life at the end of the Grand Prix. Martijn just waiting. I'm not sure if that's because of the Delta or if he's figuring out what he wants to do as the Alpine comes into the pits. Will the Red Bull follow? He does not. Red Bull stays out. Haas comes in. Aston Martin, Alfa, Ferrari, Red Bull all stay out. As another Alpine comes in. And a few more cars coming in of an Alpine and a Williams and one McLaren. So, now it gets really interesting. You've got a mix of strategies across the grid. And now you've got some guys on new, fresh tyres. Obviously, they've lost out on track position, but tyre deg is what you want. You really, really do want to have the freshest tyres around this track because I've seen it many times where you just have a driver that's got incredible pace and, without being offensive to the other driver, is just quicker in terms of pace, in terms of driving ability. But just having those quicker tires makes a huge difference across this track, and you've got the slipstream and the DRS, of course, which helps out majorly. Soybean up. That message is blurred for me. Oh, why was that blurred? Is it okay? I'm gonna refrain from using that word then. This is blurred for some reason. Lap time data, don't really need that on. But anyway, position. Let's get tires. So, who decided to pit? Matt Pryor has pit for new softs. So, I don't know about that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's he wasted a very good opportunity to just go on mediums or hards. Okay. So, yeah, I'm just speechless after that one. Softs will not last him to the end of the race. Let's say safety car stays out for one more lap and we get racing on 15. You can make it work, actually. To be fair to him, if he has an absolutely insane safety car restart, he makes up positions, he protects his tyres after doing so. He'll have to run 12 laps on the softs, which isn't ideal, but it's definitely doable. Hard tyre I don't think is the choice. I made the point that it's the discussion of whether you want to go onto the mediums or the hards, but I think the mediums is just the right call. At this stage of the race, they're a lot quicker, and the hards won't come to life for a good amount of laps. I think, if I can recall from the last race, I really can't remember, but it was a very decent 16 laps before the hards became actively quicker than the mediums, and we just don't have that many laps available to us at the minute. So I think the guys who have opted for the mediums are in the better position, but obviously you've got the guys all the way up the front of the grid who are on the hard tyres from earlier, didn't decide to pit, and they kept their track position. So who's made the right call? Is it better to come in, get fresh tyres and try and storm your way through the grid, or is it just better to stay in your track position? Myths maybe could have took advantage of the pits, because now he's going to really be struggling on those mediums towards the end of the race. So, it's a very tricky decision to have to make. This is why I encourage getting yourself a race engineer who can make the decisions for you, and if the race screws up, you can blame them, and it's through no fault of your own. Why spend my points? I got infinite point on the Phoenix cow. Right, anywho, so lap 14 safety car should. Will it be in this lap? Is Twinsicle going to catch up in time? Is he just going to delay it a little bit and maybe try and get another lap out of this? There's no way. It's just not possible. 450 channel points for myself, just tagging along on my not the right Twitch account. That's lovely. And we are halfway through this race. I don't want to curse it, but halfway through a Hunter Clark F1 stream, and there's been no disconnect. I really feel like I shouldn't have said that. I'm going to touch wood. But it's looking good. It's looking very, very good. And so far, it's been a very good stream to be here for. It's been really, really good racing between these drivers. We've seen a few contact here and there, but that's inevitable around a technical circuit like this, and safety car is going to be in this lap. So let's see, when is Hugh Jas going to choose to go for the move? And I can't get over that name. I'm just going to call him Jas from now on, or Hugh. He's tricking me here. He's trying to get me to lose my job. Go into the chicane then. Come on, I'll just go now. Send it. He's going to just wait. Here it gets really slippy, so if you can nail the throttle, you're going to catch him off guard. He's still waiting. You've got the Aston Martin right up your rear wing, sir, and you have a bit of wheel spin on the exit. Is that going to give a chance for any of these drivers to make a move? Now we've got to try and track this into turn one. Who's feeling brave? Who's feeling ambitious? We can see a Red Bull pulling to the inside, but he's not going to make the move stick. And any moves being made, I don't actually think so. I think it's relatively clean throughout the rest of these guys. No one trying to make a move into turn one. It's just too dangerous, but we see too wide here through the S section. Matt Pryor trying to go wheel to wheel with Martine. Obviously, he's on that soft set compound, and he has to get the move done. Switches to the inside, maybe gets a move on the AlphaTauri, but he doesn't have the drive to do so. He's got to hang behind for this right-hander, but I'm sure he wants to get these moves done as quick as possible. Up the inside he goes. That's a very, very strange place to make a move, and the AlphaTauri's had to run onto the gravel a little bit. I think he gave the sufficient space there. It was just unfortunate having a car on your inside there. You tend to run wide. And now this Haas is going to be trying to make as much advantage as he can out of these tyres before they drop off. An Alpine all the way on the back of Arrow. Literally as close as you can get, but doesn't get anywhere close enough to get a move into the left-hander. And really, you wouldn't want to even if you could. Just try and get a good exit and get the move down the straight here with the slipstream. And that's exactly what he's going to do. Martijn going round to the outside of Arrow. Wheel to wheel into 130R. No, he's ahead. And he doesn't have to worry into the chicane because he's going to cover off that inside line. McLaren's not going to be close enough to go for a dive. If it was Fat Cat, it might have been a different story. But he does just stay ahead. And now Bust is going to get a chance to go for the lead of this race into turn 1. Is he just going to hang back? He's going to play the smart game here. They're on the same set of tyres. And if the drivers have a cheeky ear on the stream, he'll know that huge ass maybe having a penalty coming his way towards the end of the race. And he's just trying to get off the optimal line, trying to find a way around this Red Bull. And we might see a few drivers just tucking out the slipstream because of the engine temps. They get very, very hot here as well. This track is just a nightmare. And too wide through this right-hander. That was never going to work. And now we've got more too wide action as Smith tries to sneak up the inside of Tixnix. And he gets that move done. The Aston Martin wants to say hello as well, but he's not going to be close enough. Or is he down the inside of the Alfa Romeo, who leaves the door open, but he touches the curb on exit, has a bit of a slide, and he doesn't have the drive to get that move done. Stays in P7. But yeah, Mr. Bust was behind this Red Bull driver when he saw the incident between him and Fat Cat. So he knows potentially a penalty is coming his way. And really, he doesn't need track position. He can just play the smart game, keep his ERS, which isn't looking great at the minute. He's about 15% down on the guys around him, tucking out the slipstream there, just trying to cool down the engine. It does get really, really hot. So we've got high tyre deg, high engine temps, and into the chicane, wheel to wheel. What's going on? That Haas going ever so slow, and there's contact. How has that happened at like 40 miles an hour? VSC comes out. That was outrageous. That's the type of thing I see from my Nan down the M25. I can't believe I've just seen that. And I've caught it on stream. That, yeah. Whoever was involved in that, I got short-term memory loss, but whoever that was, you should be ashamed of yourself, because I'm really unsure as to what just happened.
Was it the Haas?
I believe it was a Haas, Williams, and an AlphaTauri all together.
Wonderful. Now both my drivers are DNF'd.
Both drivers out of the race. Not sure what standings look like for Phoenix. They doing good in constructors?
So at the moment, there are 2 teams with 0 points, and that's AlphaTauri and Haas.
Ah, okay. So Haas extending their lead of having no points through this weekend, but you know, anything can change. You've got a good amount of rounds in this season, and yeah, just a bit unlucky really. From what I saw, at least with Tesla's crash, wasn't his fault, if I recall. Maybe it was. I don't know. God knows. My memory is just too bad for this kind of stuff. But it is now a full course safety car after that collision. Who I like to refer to as Gary, the safety car driver, is now just going to do a few hot laps in that Aston Martin. And his top speed is about 70 miles per hour from what I've seen. So it goes insanely slow, and into the pits come the majority of drivers. So, oh, an overtake from NASA in the pits on Mr. Bust. I'm sure Mr. Bust is going to be a bit displeased with that, losing out to the AlphaTauri into the pits. And actually, I thought some drivers were going to stay out who pitted earlier, but in fact, everyone in fact, is going on to a new set of fresh, soft tyres. So it is going to be about an 8-lap sprint shootout for the rest of this Grand Prix. And NASA is the one who's going to lead the safety car restart. And if I can recall correctly, this guy started very, very far back at the start. Let's go on to positional changes. NASA, He started 19th. He's done a last to first here in Japan. And as long as he can keep it clean for the next 8 laps, he's going to win this race from last place. And I think that deserves some kind of title. That's incredible, especially in Tier 2 as well. Really good stuff from him. Mr. Bust making up 7 places, going from 9th to 2nd. We can see in 6th and 7th, they've made up 12 and 10 places. So Ghost Rider doing almost as good as Nazar, going from 18th all the way up into 6th. And yeah, Jesus. Alza, I feel like I'm butchering you on it. Every time I say someone's name now, I get insecure. This is crazy. But Alzo, yeah, that was an incredible movement to the pits from the AlphaTauri. Someone needs to clip that. Overtake of the round, overtake of the season, maybe. Absolutely insane. But the top 5 then, we got Naza, Mr. Bust, Balash, who was leading the sprint race for the majority of it, came 2nd, and then now finds himself in 3rd. So maybe he's just trying to do a consecutive pattern, kind of. Maybe making me feel good, you know. I get these weird, what's the like word? Like patterns, bruh. I think I'm just autistic, but I don't really want to say that and be offensive to people. I'm the kind of guy who goes around and breaks bollards mid-race because I just get the voice telling me to do that. Nazar on old tyres. Short summary. What happened, please? Nazar is not on old tyres. I believe he's on new tyres and he's leading this race. He is. What happened? Acoustic. I meant acoustic. Yes, Twitch. I meant acoustic. Although, can we just say, Twitch, if you have any problems, you know, with that, I feel that's a bit offensive in itself, you know? I support these communities. And anywho, I'm just yapping at this point. It's been a very, very good race. I don't really know how to summarize in terms of how Naz's got here because I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm really not sure how he's found himself in first. I guess he just played a really good game in terms of the safety card strategy and just staying out of trouble, because that's the main thing around circuits like these, is you stay out of trouble and you're gonna get really decent points. Too many drivers making contact, making mistakes. You just got to be consistent. After all, consistency is key. And Gary now just guiding these drivers. It's an Aston Martin 1-3 as this safety car goes around the track. And yeah, it's just pretty calm at the moment. Let's appreciate this, because as soon as we get this safety car restart, there's going to be all kinds of contact, all kinds of things to point out, and there's no fat cat to flame, so we have to pick someone else. Who's been naughty? We need to pick someone.
We should pick Tix, 100%.
Tix? Alright, so the Alfa Romeo P5 right now finds himself exactly where he started this race. So maybe you shouldn't have even done the race at all. We should have just said, right, I started P5, give me P5, I'm happy. Unless he can make some moves on the safety car restart. Or is he going to kill someone in that kick Sauber? Well, Alfa Romeo for now. Don't think I'm not here. Nah, Fat Cat, we weren't blaming you for anything. Just everything. Yeah. But yeah, my hopes, my admirations are all on this AlphaTauri right now then, of Nazar. I don't really know these guys. Obviously, Mr. Bust, very fond friend of mine, and I hope he does well. But just for the sake of this guy getting from 19th all the way up into first, I want this AlphaTauri to win this race. It would be absolutely incredible to see as the drivers start to warm their tyres. Any Kimi Raikkonens? We have a few. So some of these guys just feel like not doing so. And I wouldn't either. Nazar, has he gone early? No. I would just go early, like now, on the Apex. He's done it. He's done it. Nazar, he's done a Hunter Clark restart, and it's worked out wonderfully. See, I know exactly what I'm talking about. Look at him go. 5/10 off the exit, off that corner, and on board with Tix Nix then. Is he going to kill someone? I don't think so. We're not going to get to flame him today. Down into turn 1. The gap is just huge between most of these drivers. But Moralfo was alongside of the McLaren, but just pulls out into turn 1. He's got points just in the grasp. He just needs to go for a move when it's what's the word, appropriate to do so. You don't want to see any more of these outrageous dives into turn 1. But let's get back the we don't want tyres. What do we want? Let's just leave that off for now. Right, so NASA leading then, and he's got a good gap after that safety car restart. He's gone fast to sector 1. We're going to see fastest lap times coming in now, and it's the Alpine going to send it down the inside. Martin on Arrow, and on the exit, he's got a really good exit there. Arrow didn't really need to keep that door open. He could have closed it. He was entitled to close it, but Martin made the advantage of the open gap, sent it, got a good exit, and finds himself up into P7. Obviously, he's got that 8 seconds worth of penalty and 11 if he doesn't get 3 seconds cut off. So, will he score points? Yeah, I don't think so, but he's still in it for spirit. He's in it for track position. He's in it for his pride. As we see Wobbie getting past Myths, taking P9. That's an extra point for the McLaren provisionally, but is Myths going to send it down the inside? No, he's just going to hang back, and Moralfo having a bit of a snap through the chicane there. Fastest lap's going to come flying in. Let's just wait till all the drivers cross the line. At the moment, it's Martin with a 28.626, faster than my TT probably at this rate. But it is Mr. Bust 1/10 on the back of that Alpha. Will we see a move? The ERS looking very similar, but Balázs right behind with about 10% more battery. It's going to be interesting then between these guys. We've got 2 Hungarians right next to each other, and they are all on for the win. I mean, realistically, the top 5 are all on for the win because anything can happen. These two, they go too wide, drivers catch up, mistakes are made, track limits are imposed, and anything can happen at any stage of this race. But Balázs then, he's going to find himself behind this Aston Martin going down the main straight. He's got a lot more battery. Will he use any of it? Or will he just save it for now towards the end of this race? It's all about timing here in Japan. I found that out the hard way when my driver just narrowly claimed P2 of the race using ERS down this main straight into 130R, and you just have to make the room for it when you can and not be too greedy. You know, some drivers, they overtake too quickly and they just wait. You know, like they get it done too quick and then they're just sat vulnerable. They've got no battery. We can see this Moralfo, he's stuck behind this Red Bull. What's just happened? Someone's picked up a 3-second penalty, but I've been yapping too much. But down into turn 1, Mr. Bust. Very close on the rear wing of the AlphaTauri. If simulation damage was on, maybe there would have been a small fraction of damage there on the front wing because he's ever so close. And he's got some pace, this Mr. Bust guy. This Hungarian's got some pace. But not really much happening at the minute. These drivers just having a good old Sunday drive. But Moralfo's not. He's on the back of the Red Bull. He won't go for a move into the right-hander. There's no point even predicting it. There's no point even, you know, entertaining the idea. I'm just going to wait. You can send it into the hairpin. You can get a bit ballsy and do that. But, oh, a bit of a snap on the exit as he rides the curb. It's very easy to bottom out there if you go too wide. And that's allowed Twinsicle to get nice and close. And maybe even the Mercedes driver going to score some points. He's got a penalty. Let's see what the penalties are. 3 seconds, so it could be a track limit removal. Wobbie gets past a Ferrari. And down the main straight then. Oh, one of the straights. Don't know if it's the main straight. I'm yapping. Good old Hunter Clark yap, but missed the bus then. And there's moves at the back of the grid. Adrian. Oh, what's happened to Twinsicle? That's got to be a mistake. How's he wound up that far back? The Mercedes driver not on form right now. Moralfo really close. Mr. Bust also close to NASA going through the chicane. But no moves made. It's just too risky at this stage of the race to go for moves, really.
Yep, no ballsy moves being made when Fat Cat isn't in the race.
Yeah, Fat Cat, bro. Oh, wow, as we say that, Mr. Bus goes for a ballsy move down the inside of turn 1. And they're now wheel to wheel through this S section, and all the drivers are now all bunched up thanks to that tiny loss of time. Mr. Bus gets past the AlphaTauri, and like I said, was that a demonstration of a premature move? Has he done it too early? Because he's used a lot of his battery to get that done. NASA, he's got pace. He's going to be all on the back of the Aston Martin, and he's going to have DRS when that opens back up again. It might even be open already. Probably is. It's been quite a while since the safety car. And now Mr. Bust is going to be the one under pressure. I don't know if that was the right time to go for the move. We'll find out towards the end of the race. But that was an ambitious move, to say the least, from the Aston Martin driver. But it did pay off, as he's found himself in P1. But like I said, let's see what happens towards the end of the race. Picking up marbles here while on the racing line. Most of these drivers are. I'm not really sure how that's going on. What's up with this track then? Marbles being picked up on the racing line. And into the chicane. Will Nazar... Nah, that's way too far back. It is. No dive's going to be made. Any... Gonna be... No. Nothing going on. I've got to keep my eyes peeled, because these drivers are really catching me off guard with some of the dives they're doing into that chicane. There are no open V seasons over. Right, into turn 1 then, Nazar just going to reclaim that position. That's going to happen inevitably with the help of DRS. But what I noticed is Nazar used no battery to get that done, whereas Bust used a bit to try and maintain position, and he didn't. Bit of a battle at the back between Myths and Moralfo. This is for a point in this race. Myths giving barely any space to that Aston Martin, but just giving enough. Hard racing here between the two of them. Through this S section, it's very, very hard to keep it too wide, and Myths just comes out on top for now. They've got very similar ERS, and anything can change here as we come down into the hairpin after these two right-handers. And will we see a dive from the drivers? But Mr. Bust also right on the back of the AlphaTauri. The interval's getting ever so close between these drivers, and one mistake can be the difference between scoring decent points, scoring a podium, and losing out disastrously, because you touched the grass and you're cooked. Like with the tyre deg, with the temps, you're just cooked. Do not touch the grass. It's not a good idea. I found out that the hard way. But we won't talk about that. So, Mr. Bust, he's on the back of the AlphaTauri. He goes up to the inside through 130R. Is he going to stick it too wide between these drivers? Incredible scenes from the Aston Martin and the AlphaTauri. Now to the chicane. Will it be to the inside for the Aston Martin? It won't be, but Balash fancies a go on the Red Bull. In fact, it was the other way around. Huge ass getting up into P3, and he finds himself provisionally in the podium, but now he's got two red cars in his rearview mirror who's going to have a go at him. Into turn 1, Bust also getting the move on the AlphaTauri. The Ferrari and the Red Bull make contact, but they've kept it looking straight through turn 2. They're still wheel to wheel, bit of a track limit for the Red Bull there, but I don't think he actually picked one up, so that's good for him. But very, very close racing between those two there then. A bit of bumping, but relatively clean, you know. That's going to happen here and there, and as long as no one spins out or takes any damage, I'm sure it can be put to one side in the heat of the moment. 2 laps left of this Grand Prix. Martin wheel to wheel with the Alpha through the right hander. That was committed. That was brave. And that put him up into P5, getting ahead of Tixnix. But he's still got that 6 seconds of penalty, so he served 5 seconds of it. He might be able to get 3 seconds of it removed. And so he's only got 3 seconds, really, to deal with. And I could calculate where he would end up, but I think it's going to be on the points. In hindsight, it's in the points. I don't really want to sit here and calculate it while we've got cars going at each other down this straight then. Breaking news, Balash, let's go. Well, no, we don't see any moves here. Come on. Don't get me on the edge of my seat. Oh, we're going to have to. These guys are too close. Balash down the inside of the AlphaTauri through the chicane. Huge ass is going to want to try and take a good line and get a good exit, and he does, leaving barely any space for the Ferrari on exit. And Balash goes around, and that's a disaster for his race. As Huge ass, was he, did he leave enough space? Didn't he? When you get on that curb, it gets very difficult to get off it again without losing stability of the car. And when you've got a car right next to you as well, yeah, it doesn't end so great. But Mr. Bus then is still ahead of this AlphaTauri driver. He's got considerably less battery. I can't see TireOS, so I can't comment on it. But we've only got, 1.5 more laps to go. And Nazar, at this stage of the race, is going to get DRS on the last lap. So all he really needs to do is get that move into turn 1, and you've secured the rest of the race, because he's got that ERS advantage. We can see a bit of a battle here. No, it's just a Williams going slowly. Oh no, someone's spun. It's Balash. He's lost his wing. Well, that's race over for the Ferrari driver then. But let's get our eyes to the front of the grid. Nazar, he's picked up a 3 second. Either that's just happened, or my memory is really that bad. I hope it's not that bad, because I might need to get that checked. But down the main straight then, we're going to see the AlphaTauri pick up the DRS, and he needs to deploy everything. But actually, there's a huge gap between him and Mr. Bust. Why is there a huge gap? He's now had to use all his ERS to catch back up to get DRS, and now Mr. Bust has more ERS, and maybe All he needs to do is tuck out of the slipstream, deploy everything, and the Aston Martin's going to stay ahead. Yeah, that's I'm not really sure how Naz has wound up in this position. And actually, you can see there the AlphaTauri saved his battery. So maybe he's thinking long game. If he can stay with the Aston Martin through Sector 1 and 2, then he can get him down into 130R, get him before the chicane, and at that point, he's secured the race. So actually, Naz still has this in the bag. And if that 3-second isn't a legitimate 3-second, he can get it removed, get the track position, and still win this race. Huge Ass currently provisionally on the podium, but also we had that incident way earlier in the race, and to my understanding, that's going to be a penalty for him. So it's not looking great for himself. Tixnix might find himself P3 after the end of this race with the penalties in front of him. But Mr. Bust v Nazar then is where it's at right now. We see some drivers, they're close. You got Martine 2/10 off that Red Bull, but all eyes on the Aston Martin and the AlphaTauri as we go down this main straight. This is where the AlphaTauri needs to get the move done. He's got more ERS, he's got the slip, he needs to send a move down the inside through 130R. You can see he's gaining, he's gonna be close enough to send it, but he's had to go round to the outside. Mr. Bust going and defending the inside line there. It's hard racing, a bit of a bump there. A slip on the exit for the AlphaTauri, and around goes Nazar. He's managed to keep it just about facing the right way, so he's not going to lose a hell of a lot of positions. But yeah, on the exit of that turn, he's now lost a considerable amount, and Mr. Bust comes across the line to win the Japanese Grand Prix in Phoenix. What a drive from Mr. Bust. If we look at the details there, I'm sure he made up very many positions, 8 positions from 9th to 1st. Huge Ass making up 5, and I've been cut off by EA because it's a bad game. But Mr. Bust should be very, very happy with that race indeed. Driver of the day goes to Arrow accordingly, says EA. My driver of the day is Nazar. Nazar really doing a good job there until the chicane incident. That wasn't great for the AlphaTauri, and we'll have to see what happened there. Probably going to be a few reports on that. I'm not sure what happens. Trying to take a non-biased view, I really don't know what goes on. It's really hard to just stick it too wide through that chicane. You lose traction if you go over the curbing. You lose stability. You know, your car flies into the air. So, well, we'll see. We're on an infinite black screen here before we see the guys come onto the podium. The Aston Martin driver of Mr. Bust waving his Hungarian flag. But I don't care to listen to the Hungarian anthem, unfortunately. So, scoring no points in the sprint race, coming P9, losing out just 1 place on the point. But he does score 25 in the race, having won the main event. Let's just get all these results on stream just in case they're needed, and the penalties as well. Let them refresh. Get the race director. I don't know if I need to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway, just in case. There we are then. And I'm unsure of Phoenix Protocol. I don't believe there's interviews, or is there? I really don't know. I should be aware of this.
I think there is normally.
There isn't normally. Okay.
Just bring in ticks.
Yep, we can do that. So it's Mr. Bust winning, Huge Ass and Tixnix. I probably don't have poems to drag people in. Or maybe I do. Let's wait for this race director to finish. See there, Tix is in the waiting room, so we'll give him an interview. Just wait for this loading screen, and he was an Alfa Romeo, so let's find myself the showcase room and get an Alfa Romeo on the screen. I'll try and get the other guys in if they so choose. I don't know if I have the permissions to drag. I'll try it, but you know, anything can happen. Got the difficult job of finding the showcase room now. Oh god, I'm useless, mate.
Hello, hello.
Ah,
Hello,
hello.
mate.
Oh, what a race!
Yeah, go on, talk us through it, boy.
Everyone was just so close the whole race. I think the advantage that I had is that I had less fuel than everybody else because I was actually burning it. Did you guys see if anyone else tried to burn fuel?
Didn't catch
No.
any of that on the stream. I just know that fuel deg was high, so I assume no one really had fuel. But apparently, did you
No,
end up with
no,
a lot of it?
because you regain quite a lot during the safety car, and
Uh,
I assume because then later my teammate crashed and engineered for me a bit and told me everybody's fuel. So I assumed everyone did like me and fueled for the whole race, assuming there was no safety car. But of course there were safety cars, so everyone had a lot more fuel than they needed.
they did a really
But
good
yeah,
job.
very close race. Shame what happened. Like, there are so many incidents. Apparently, I had an incident with Mr. Bust. I don't even remember it.
Yeah, I
I don't
don't
know.
recall that.
I don't know. He DM'd me apologizing.
Oh,
Uh, but I do not remember.
well, you should report him. You know, get him a penalty so you can get a place up on the on the
Yeah.
podium. Right. Well, that was a very interesting race, and you find yourself P3. I'm not actually sure where you started.
I started P5.
P5. Okay, so that's decent for you then.
Yeah.
Um.
I begged, like I prayed that Martin didn't go for the most stupid move ever. He didn't. He went for a relatively stupid move, but not the worst one. So respect to him. Like fair enough. And he actually like sort of got me closer to the other guys. So sort
At
of
least he didn't
thankful to him.
crash you, eh?
Yeah.
So, well, you should enjoy the podium, though. Very, very good race from you.
I will.
Mix, you have anything to add?
No. But do you have the results?
I do have the results. I should have them.
Because Arrow is in the waiting room. I don't know where he finished.
Oh, okay. He just goes into the waiting
No,
room.
Arrow and Wobby, I think they're just having a conversation, I suppose, because they were fairly far
No,
back.
normally on stream, people just come into the waiting room anyway, even if they didn't finish on the podium, and
Oh,
sometimes they
okay.
Okay,
just have.
we might as well just get Wobby in.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, bye, Tix.
All right. So
Ciao.
Wobby!
Hello.
Hello, mate.
How we doing?
How are you doing? That's the question. How's your race?
A good recovery drive from me and Arrow. Arrow is my teammate. So if you want to put him up here as well, we can do a little double.
almost. Oh,
There you go.
hello.
Yeah, we had a great recovery drive. I got spun at the start, was miles behind. Same with Arrow. So we just had to play it really smart. It was a very tough race, hard track to overtake. Managing ERS was tough as well, but with a couple of penalties and people spinning and some good overtakes and teamwork, we got back up to fourth and fifth. So decent.
Any comments on the racing stance here, then? Any good battles between you, or any poor ones, to say the least?
No, no, I didn't. I wasn't. Didn't have anything really. I mean, Arrow missed his breaking point, but that was about it.
No one saw that. No one saw that.
But apart from that, no, it was all right.
That's
Just you
very
got to
good
be
to
very
hear then.
aware. In Japan, it's setups can vary quite a lot. People have quite high downforces. Some people medium, some people very low. So you just got to be aware with where people are faster and not faster and braking early and stuff. So
And how
yeah,
did
it
you
was
find the
a good
strategy
race.
then? The
I
tire
hate.
deck is obviously bad.
The tie deck's bad, but I feel like it's one of my strong suits. The tie deck. So I mean, I didn't even hit 25% at the end. So
Oh, really?
yeah, or just over, I think.
You're running like high
So yeah.
wings, or you're just really good at managing
I was
tires?
40-30, yeah, so
Okay.
medium a little bit. So
Yeah, it's
not too bad.
just a go at managing tires, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, that was a very interesting race for us, and thank you for giving us the content, I suppose. That was really, really good from every driver.
Cheers, thank you.
And, right, I don't see any other guys in waiting room, so Unless there's anything else to add, Mix.
No.
I believe we can just round it up there, unless I'm unaware of any protocol. You know, this is my first time here in a very long time, so if I'm missing anything,
No.
just scream at
All
me.
good. You did good.
If there's
You did good.
if no one else is waiting, then you're free to.
Alrighty, well, it was a very fun stream to be a part of. Thank you for everyone who was here, and thank you to the drivers for giving us such an
Thank you
amazing.
for jumping in last minute as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Good
anything.
stream. Good stream.